Welcome to December's first Friday. Happy holidays to everybody. So, as always, we would like to start with a coherence moment. And with that, I give you Alexander.
Yeah, let's do a very simple practice today. Very, very simple. We're going to take 3 deep breaths. That's all we're going to do. It's a good way to reset and shift and get present for the moment. So, why doesn't everybody just sit back comfortably and take one first deep, long, slow breath? Do that. Really fill your lungs and exhale when you feel you filled. Then feel free to take a second deep breath and take a nice long third deep breath. That's our practice for today. Nice and easy, nice and simple, a little bit of a reset. And with that, I think I'm handing it off to you, Janice.
Great. Thanks, Alexander. So, welcome. So, these are live for our community members, the global community of professionals advancing team effectiveness. Some of the people who are members have been with us for years and or just recent, but part of some of these organizations that we have taught at and engaged at over the years. And we have a new platform for us to engage in as community members, which is on the new platform called Disco. So how you get there is corentus.disco.co. And it is a sincere pleasure for me to introduce Dr. Renee Rookwood. Renee has a doctorate in education in human and organizational learning from George Washington University. She is a renowned expert in team dynamics, specializing in resilience, organizational behavior, and communication. Her work has helped companies and leaders create supportive environments where teams not only survive, but thrive under pressure. We're also thrilled and honored to mention that Renee is a participant in our Corentus Team Coaching Core program. And so I'm honored to bring to you today our thought leader for this first Friday, Dr. Renee.
Great. Thanks, Janice. I am super excited to be here today, and I am new to the Corentus community, but I'm super thrilled and excited. As Janice mentioned, I'm just a newbie to the coaching program, and I am just embarking on kind of a team coaching part of my career, and so I say that to say I'm equally excited to learn from all of you today. I'm here to present about my research, but I'm also want to engage in conversation. So let's dive in. And I'm going to start with an existential question here. Are you a willow or an oak tree? So, right, the willow tree symbolizes resilience, really bending under pressure without breaking, while the oak tree, it's though strong, is rigid and more prone to break. And so we often don't know who we are and which one we are as an individual until we face adversity, right? Those challenges we all face in life that really kind of make us pause and reset. And it's only then do we discover the strength that lies within us. Do we have the ability to persevere, or do we need a little extra support so we don't break in the wind? And I feel the same applies to project teams. She's going to be sharing about the concept of team resilience, including how it is defined in the literature today, and sharing some insights from my recent doctoral research, along with some practical strategies for you to consider when it comes to fostering resilience in teams. And to position myself in what you'll hear today, I'll give a little bit of background. I'm a dual citizen of Australia, although my accent doesn't show it. I was born in the lands of the Arunta people, who are the traditional owners of the Alice Springs area in the heart of the country. And although not of Indigenous background, I celebrate their sense of community, which will be a running theme here today. My first career stop was bedside cardiac nursing. And when you become a nurse, you really join a unique lifelong community. So shout out if there are any nurses out there. And when I joined my company about 14 years ago, I started leading teams myself, but I did feel a bit like a square peg trying to fit into a round hole, going from scrubs to suits. And I reflect now back on that time, and I realized that I was really leaning on my crutch of building community. So my leadership style certainly seems to be guided by strengthening the relational and the human side of teams. And in the spirit of, trying to build a little community here today, we're going to embark on some Mentimeter polls. So get your phones ready for those that want to participate. And if you're driving, please do not participate. And let's go ahead, and we're going to start off though with a story. So here we have a project leader who was selected, and they assembled a team. And the team is going to set off on this journey. We're going to pretend that this bridge is their period of performance. And so they establish a project plan, right? They assign roles and responsibilities. They establish the norms for the team to behave, and they create a risk mitigation plan. And they get to the other side, and everything works out, and the team is successful. They deliver what they set out to do within budget, and the customer is happy, right? But as we know, it's rarely, smooth sailing for teams today. Instead, we have curveballs that are frequently coming into play. These are those unanticipated challenges that are not captured in the risk mitigation plan. So think of the times when an important team member might have left the project, right? Or there's conflicts between subcontractors, or a pandemic hits. And some of those teams are able to navigate to the other side. But at what cost? Was the product a little bit less quality? Was it a little bit less innovative than it could have been? Or the worst case scenario is not delivered at all. So what if we could actually fill in those holes? What if we could strengthen the team's path to success? And what if we could actually increase the team's ability to perform despite these unknown curveballs that we know that the teams are going to face today? And so this is where the concept of team resilience comes into play. All right, so we're going to go ahead and switch over to the Menti polls. If you don't mind scanning the QR code on the screen, and it will also be over here on this side of the shop. And we're going to present, there we go. And so we're waiting for players to join. So these are going to be fairly fast moving questions. We're going to go ahead and kick this off. All right, first question, true or false? Team resilience is defined as a group of resilient individuals on a team. True or false? 5 seconds. Right, smart group here. So while individual resilience is important and can be very influential on teams, team resilience is more about that collective phenomenon. It's built on how team members interact with each other, they support each other, recover together, rather than on any individual grit alone. Great. All right, next question. True or false? Team resilience and team adaptability are the same thing. True or false? 5 seconds. False, right. So both of these are necessary in today's complex world. But in the literature, adaptability is really about the quick, short-term responses, right? Resilience is more focused on the long game. It involves really addressing those root causes and growing together as a team over time. Awesome. All right, next question. True or false? A resilient team is a high-performing team. True or false? Right. Okay. So this is a little bit of a trick question, right? So resilience and performance are related, but not necessarily synonymous. Resilience at a basic definition is the team's ability to bounce back and perform despite adversity or those challenges faced. However, a resilient team may experience actually periods of lower performance while they're adapting to those challenges. So the key is that resilient teams can recover and achieve high performance over time. All right, next question. We got two more. True or false? Team resilience is a permanent trait. True or false? 5 seconds. Yeah, you guys got that one. All right. Resilience is definitely dynamic. It fluctuates over time. It really depends on external pressures, changes in those team compositions, the leadership shifts. It requires really continuous nurturing through reflection, adaptation, and sustained team and leadership practices. Awesome. Great job. Last question for this part of the poll. True or false? Team resilience can be built. That was super quick. True. Absolutely. You guys are great. So while facing adversity, right, you can strengthen the team's resilience. It's not the only way to build it. You don't have to face adversity to build it. It can be cultivated proactively through team building, team coaching, open communication, and really creating a psychologically safe environment, and not just through those reactive experiences. All right, we're going to come back to that Mentimeter poll for one final question, but first we're going to dive into a bit of the research. So my dissertation study was a qualitative design. I interviewed project leaders who had faced adversity during their period of performance. I specifically kind of wanted to avoid military teams, professional sports teams. I really sought out those teams that were in knowledge intensive type of environments. The analysis process was a reflexive thematic analysis, specifically by Brown and Clark. My research questions and really intended to explore this concept by asking the leaders really open-ended questions about what was happening within the team and what was happening outside the team during times of adversity. And just to spend just a brief moment on reflexive thematic analysis, or big Q qualitative, right? So this analysis process is more widely used in the United Kingdom and Europe and Australia and New Zealand, and it really hits the data at a deeper, meaningful level versus small Q, which is widely used in the US, where the technique is qualitative, but the underlying philosophy is actually more closely aligned to a quantitative approach, where the intent is to identify quote unquote one right answer. Big Q qualitative instead acknowledges and believes that there isn't necessarily one right answer. Instead, the focus is really on that deep, meaningful engagement with the data, not counting quotes per se or ensuring inter-rater reliability. Instead, the rigor comes from being really reflective, transparent throughout the process, and immersing in the data, really crafting and refining these themes, and really giving voice to every participant through careful interpretation. And so the project leaders, there was 20 of them in this study, saw team resilience really as something that grows within a group, really emerges not just from the individuals working together, but from the development of a caring community. So when they were asked how the team was able to navigate adversity, they did not highlight any superstar on the team or any fancy project management tool or widget, have you. Instead, they all pointed to the glue that had formed between the team members, the supportive relationships, the unity, the regular check-ins, having fun together, right? And providing that mutual help. So good teaming, right? The secret sauce of teaming is less about the mechanics about behind the scenes, although obviously important, but more about creating this close-knit community. And this community is not just a feel-good moment. It's not just like a nice-to-have aspect of a good team, right? It's actually becomes a strategic and valuable resource during tough times, right? Much like tangible resources like money or extra staff members on your team to show up. The community became the resource the team drew upon during times of adversity to get them through it. So moving on to the 6 team variables that were found at the heart of these resilient communities, safe communications. So when team members can openly share their thoughts and concerns, they're definitely better equipped to solve problems and make sound decisions, particularly under stress, right? For example, being able to say something like, hey, I'm just burning out on this. Is there anything else I can do for a little while? As Grace did here, illustrates how open dialogue allowed for these honest exchanges and really help the team members manage the workload so that they can maintain well-being during their challenging periods. Team potency. Resilient teams strongly believe in their ability to tackle the tough problems before them. They find a way forward and they deliver great results. As Sydney expressed here, if there's a belief that as a team we are smart enough, we have the skills, we have the competencies, then we have the ability to figure it out. High quality relationships. So strong and positive connections within the team are essential for resilience. When team members respect and trust each other, both as professionals and as people, they collaborate effectively. As Sydney noted here, there was a deep, mad respect between each other as colleagues and as researchers, but also as people. I think that really was the foundation to get us through all the difficulties. These bonds are often reinforced by shared experiences. They were referred to as quote unquote sweat equity, quote unquote collective trauma. And I loved, there was a participant named Dan who said, embracing the suck together. And so really highlighting how mutual hardship can really strengthen that team's unity and resilience. Social support was vital for team members to feel good and be productive. When teams have access to positive resources, they are more resilient. This social support goes beyond emotional care to providing actual practical assistance and really creating a network that the teams can draw upon when facing difficult circumstances. So in this sample quote, the leader was comforted by those who had experienced a systems implementation before, right? That they, oh yeah, it always goes like this. Kind of that gave her comfort during the times when things were going astray. Transformational leadership is a style that was a key factor in fostering these teams to be resilient. So these leaders were really inspiring and empowering their teams by making really every member feel valued and capable of doing their best. As Grace put it, because if I can see them transform, then the team can do transformative things. So by cultivating this individual growth and motivation, transformational leaders really enabled their teams to overcome challenges. And for those of you who are fans of Adam Grant out there like myself, I equate transformational leaders to showing up as givers versus takers. Finally, team purpose. So teams that have a clear sense of purpose and a defined path to success are more focused and driven. When team members really understand why they are working together and what they need to accomplish, it seems so simple, their motivation and alignment are stronger. So as James highlighted here, his team was inspired by the knowledge that their products were going to support soldiers and warfighters. One participant also shared it was like listening to the national anthem and saluting the flag because they had a renewed and invigorated vision of the team's purpose. This clarity of purpose really fuels the dedication and the resilience in the face of challenges. All right, now it's back to you. If you can pop back to the Mentimeter, we are going to, I want to understand exactly how you might rank those 16 factors. So what would you put as most important, number one, and what would you potentially put towards the bottom of the list? I'm curious what this community might rank these 16 factors. Wish I had the Jeopardy music. Interesting. Feel like it's watching a horse race. All right, I think things are slowing down. Looks like, yeah, high quality. Oh, clear purpose was getting up there. High quality relationships looks like it's winning. Oh, clear purpose is now a tie. Oh, I feel like I just like moved it. Looks like we got purpose up there at the top. All right, well, yeah, this is a tough one. So high quality relationships. Yeah, this will be a great discussion item to talk about when we get to that portion. So thank you for participating. That's awesome. All right, but project teams, any team probably, they're not really sitting on an island, right, to do their work. Instead, they are embedded within a sea of context. So think of the team as a tree, right, rooted in this forest environment. And just as trees support the forest ecosystem, a team's success enhances an organization's productivity. But on the flip side, however, the health of the trees, like teams, is also shaped by their environment. A supportive context nourishes the team, while challenges can hinder a team's growth. So when both teams and their environment are in balance, the whole system thrives, right? So this forest ecosystem analogy really reflects the findings in my research, because there are multiple layers of context impacting teams. So at the individual level, team members bring both their expertise, but they also bring their behavior baggage, right, from previous teaming experiences. For example, one participant leading a product development team faced delays because of a new tech lead was unfamiliar with their team's specific agile methodology, and it really led to some communication challenges. In additional layers of context, right, you have the broader organizational environment, including leadership behavior and power dynamics and support networks, and those significantly affect the team's performance during adversity. For instance, a team may lose focus when one team member is pulled away forced to do some special projects by a supervisor who is also the person's performance evaluator, and that ends up impacting the team itself. Externally, you have subcontractor relationships and shifting sponsor or customer demands, and they can either support or hinder the team's success. And of course, environmental factors like global issues impact teams. COVID-19 challenges was quite prominent in my research findings. And one of the key findings of the study, though, concluded was that when the context was aligned to those 16 variables, team resilience seemed to be amplified. However, when the context challenged those 16 factors, resilience seemed to be reduced and consequences happened, like overburdened staff, stressed teams, or team leaders actually leaving organizations. So for example, let's take the concept of purpose. Firstly, individuals thrive when they can tie their task to the team's purpose. If they can see, hear, and understand how their expertise is actually contributing to the team's purpose, they're inspired. And this can sometimes be challenging in knowledge intensive type of work, right? We tackle complex challenges today, and sometimes we don't really know exactly what the team's purpose is at the beginning of the period of performance. But in order for the team to move forward successfully, getting to a clear purpose becomes paramount, and even more impactful if you can align that purpose to the individual, to the organization, to the customer, to the industry, right? One of the participants' teams believed that their tasks were more important than the COVID-19 challenges, really saying that the mission was more important than the virus. So in summary, from the research findings, the key takeaways: context can positively and negatively impact team resilience. We went through the 16 resilient team factors. And when context is aligned to those 6 factors, resilience seems to amplify, and team resilience comes with building community. So practically speaking, how could you potentially strategize on becoming more resilient at a team level or at an organizational level? And I propose this is just an academic exercise for myself of taking the research and putting it forward and proposing the FLEX framework. So starting with F, which is to get more focused. So to build effective teams, we must start with clarity. This means clearly articulating team expectations and establishing that compelling vision that everyone can rally around. It's not enough to just communicate this vision, but we need to embed it into our daily work. So tools like storytelling are powerful because they can reinforce that vision for others and really helping them see not only where we're going, but why it matters. Learning. So team building isn't just about learning the mechanics of collaboration. It's also about mastering that relational side. So bringing together a team of diverse individuals requires more than just those technical tools. It requires learning how to relate to each other in new ways. This could mean coaching teams on new forms of collaboration, or more strategically integrating different DE&I campaigns into teams. Professional development really should be ongoing for every one of us, equipping us with skills to show up and collaborate in meaningful ways. E is for enhance. To enhance teaming, we need to really strengthen the systems, the policies, the procedures that support collaboration. So at the team level, this might be, right, establishing those norms, those team charters, or those codes of conduct to really drive that effective behavior. But at an organizational level, you can go much further, right? You could think about providing social network tools to identify kind of those key boundary spanners within the organization, really streamlining your subcontracting processes so you can get additional experts on your team when needed, or even establishing new roles specifically focused on better teaming, right? Partnering with others to enhance how both team collaboration and product quality. And finally, X, which is kind of at the heart of my research. Now, X is for experiment. So refining or our teaming approach really requires research and iteration, right? So at the team level, you could start small, just surveying your team at the beginning of the project and then checking in 6 months later to learn what's working well and to evaluate the team dynamics. But at the organizational level, you could ask bigger question, right? Bigger questions about, could simulations or surveys or artificial intelligence or decision science experimentation really to explore how these different contextual tools are providing deeper insights into how we can work better together. The answers really could help unlock a different way of working together to push forward. All right, so finally, wrapping it up in the last couple of slides. So this is by across industries and sectors, right? Organizations are really starting to recognize that successful teaming isn't just about the mechanics of collaboration. It's really also about the relationships that we build along the way. And so for just a couple of examples here on this screen, at Google, right, they've kind of transformed talent management by leaning in on their research and data. They have a well-known Project Aristotle that took place, was all about finding what makes a good team at Google. And what did they discover at the top of that list was psychological safety. Psychological safety was the key for Google teams to actually navigate the complexity of their work. So when people can feel safe to speak up and share ideas and take risks, teams don't function, they do excel. And then there's the National Institutes of Health, where they're embracing the concept of team science. So one of their key consensus studies that's going on right now is actually exploring how team science intersects with DE&I, those critical elements within a modern workplace. And they're examining best practices and the barriers and the impacts, especially in a new virtual and hybrid world. And can't forget about Microsoft. So in 2014, right, they took a bold step by phasing out their notorious stack ranking systems. So they moved towards really continuous, ongoing feedback, shifting the focus from competition to individual growth, to team collaboration and contributing to a collective success. It's a move that really signaled a deeper understanding that when you invest in the success of a group, you unlock the greater potential in each person. All right. So as we look to the future, right, the challenges are only going to get that much more complex. So how do we continue to evolve to meet the demands of this increasingly complex and dynamic world? And what if we could reimagine what teaming could look like? What if we could double down on connection, on seeing our colleagues not just as experts with specialized skill sets, but as whole individuals with diverse backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. So this isn't just about the systems or the structures that we put in place to support collaboration, although those are important. It's about creating that social infrastructure that can carry us forward through the challenges ahead. And it's about building that social glue that helps teams stick together and thrive under pressure. Because when we invest in the bonds between us, we really create a ripple effect. Stronger teams lead to better outcomes, not only within the organization, but also within our communities. In a world that's growing more uncertain by the day, we need to lean into this idea of teaming, not just as a way of working, but as a way of thriving. And it really starts with us. So thank you.
Thank you, Renee.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So much of what you share resonates. I was a co-founder on an emergency response system after 9/11. So an emergency response system didn't exist. And so living in the emergency response, emergency preparedness world, so much of what creates a resilient community with the impact of any type of emergency response is the factors that you laid out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great. So thank you. So with that, we don't have a whole lot of time for questions, but Jonathan Sibley had, I believe, one of the first questions that was noted in chat. So Jonathan, do you want to come off mute and share that question?
Sure. So I imagine there are a bunch of possible overlaps, but the first one that caught my idea was, can you really have high quality relationships if there isn't safe communication? Or what is a high quality relationship without safe communication?
I think it's how you define high quality relationships, right? I think with certain maybe mindsets and maybe like certain environments, maybe a for-profit or even, I guess, any probably organization that has specific goals in mind, potentially a high quality relationship is just showing up and delivering the widget, right? That was great. They delivered it. That was great. That was high quality, right? But so I think it also depends on how you're defining high quality relationships. But I certainly would agree with you, Jonathan, that in the full aspect of a high quality relationship where you're accepting and showing up with your whole self to work, that you need to have a safe space in order to do that.
So maybe part of our job is helping them to think through that.
Yeah, I think you have to define some of those things up front.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jonathan. Alexander.
Yes, Renee, thank you so much. I found your presentation compelling and really rich. I'm wondering if you could just spend another minute on team potency.
Hmm.
I'm not sure I
I
quite
love that.
grasped the concept. What exactly is team potency?
Team potency is that general belief that the team feels they have the skills and mindset and challenges before them that they can succeed no matter what the adversity is that's before them. So one of the participants, for example, one of the quotes, right, was that she's like, we just believed in each other so much. It didn't really matter what the challenge was before us. I knew that we could just come together and we would figure out a path forward. So it's kind of that general belief that we will succeed, and no matter what's faced before you.
Like a sense of self-confidence
Yeah, as a
Hmm.
team.
as a team.
As a unit.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
thank you.
Jennifer, you posted that there are other factors having to do with team resilience. Do you want to jump off mute and just do you want to share what those are? Or do you want to ask the rest of the community or Renee what those might be? Up
Oh,
to you.
I was when I was writing that, I was thinking about how high quality relationship seems to encompass a couple of other ones on that page, such as
Mm.
safety. And so I was starting to try to tease them apart in my mind as and isolate them. Um, I'm wondering if high quality relationships bubble to the top of our voting because it seems to have some of those other qualities in them. Would you speak briefly about the difference between high quality relationships and maybe safety, or there's another, of course, I'm losing that with the other one right now without looking at it.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I have to go back and look at myself. I think you're bringing up a point of the just the analysis process.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, Jennifer, I think this can be sliced and diced in so many different ways,
Sure.
and I will happily show you all. I mean, it's just so much iteration that goes into this qualitative type of analysis. But I agree with you. There's lots of overlapping and Venn diagrams, and it's not clean. And it was more about making sure that it was just fully representative of these 20 individuals. And for them, there was discussion of all six of those types of variables within their conversation. And so for me, it felt like it was a value to the participants that they be kind of divvied up this way. But that's just this representative of 20. But I agree with you that there's a lot of overlap for sure.
That makes sense. And it seems like there's a lot of value in isolating them and thinking about how they differ from each other. So thank you.
Mhm.
So Peter, last question. Oh, you're on mute, my friend.
Thank you, Renee. It's very informative, inspiring. And I had a question. I really like the idea that context has an impact on where the team is functioning in each of those factors. And I'm wondering if there's anything you would recommend when uh, one of us goes into to work with a team,
Mhm.
how to fairly quickly assess where they are on these factors. Is there any,
Mm.
there's, is there, I know there's a qualitative way to do it, but is there a quantitative way to do it?
Uh, that's a good question. I think the one that's just topping in mine, it would be Scott Tannenbaum and Ed Salas published a book on teaming, and it's fairly practical in nature. And in the back of, and I think it's in the back of the appendix of this book. Can't remember the name of it right now, but it has teaming in it. Ed Salas and Scott Tannenbaum, and there are some practical kind of like survey type of tools of team effectiveness in that book. That might be a good resource to start with, Peter.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hmm.
So with that, thank you, Renee. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us. And this is the first Friday for December. So I wish everybody a happy and safe holiday, Happy New Year, and we'll see you all in January and hopefully before that. Great.
Sounds great.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Renee.
Have a good one.
Thank you.